Hello, readers, and welcome back to Quarantine Literacy. This week, we are talking about overcoming obstacles. And overcoming obstacles can mean lots of things, right? Yesterday, we talked about Willow overcoming her shyness. That's a big one. That's a big obstacle. But sometimes we're overcoming small obstacles like not wanting to get out of bed or not wanting to do our homework. And sometimes we're trying to overcome really, really big obstacles, and we're trying to persevere in times that are really hard when we're feeling tremendously terrible. Did you ever read that Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day? Sometimes, sometimes a day can be like that. And this is actually the book we're reading today is the first book that I ever bought for my daughter. I love this book and I love this author. It's called Swimmy. It's written and illustrated by Leo Leone. And it's a special book. I find the illustrations to be very, very beautiful. There are these really cool like block prints you can see. Well, I'll show you as we go. But this is actually quite a sad story. It's about a little fish whose entire family gets eaten by a big fish. And during that loss, he's devastated, as of course one would be with such a tremendous loss. And he's the only one who survives in his family. And he has to go out into the world and find his way anew. And you'll see how he beautifully perseveres and overcomes this tremendous obstacle of loss and death by finding a new family and by problem solving in a way that is very creative and very smart. So I hope you'll enjoy today's read aloud, Swimmy. A happy school of little fish lived in a corner of the sea somewhere. They were all red. Only one of them was as black as a mussel shell. He swam faster than his brothers and sisters. His name was Swimmy, and there he is. All his brothers and sisters are red, and there's Swimmy. One bad day, a tuna, swift, fierce, and very hungry, came darting through the waves. In one gulp, he swallowed all the little red fish. Only Swimmy escaped. So all of his brothers and sisters were eaten up by this giant tuna. He swam away in the deep, wet world. He was scared, lonely, and very, very sad. Well, I think that's probably how I would feel. Scared, lonely, and very sad. But the sea was full of wonderful creatures. And as he swam from marvel to marvel, Swimmy was happy again. He saw a Medusa made of rainbow jelly. I told you these illustrations are so beautiful. A lobster who walked about like a water-moving machine. So Swimmy, in spite of his sadness, which I'm sure he's still feeling, right? He still has that loss inside of him. But he's beginning to open up and see beautiful things, and he's starting to see the world as a beautiful place again. Strange fish pulled by an invisible thread. A forest of seaweeds growing from sugar candy rocks. An eel whose tail was almost too far to remember. And sea anemones who looked like pink palm trees swaying in the wind. So Swimmy, in the face of that loss, he's moving forward, one fin at a time, making his way through the big ocean, which at first felt so lonely and so dark and so sad. And then he began to look around and notice that there are beautiful things all around him and that life can go on. Then, hidden in the dark shade of rocks and weeds, he saw a school of little fish, just like his own. "Let's go and swim and play and see things," he said happily. "We can't," said the little red fish. "The big fish will eat us all." "But you can't just lie there," said Swimmy. "We must think of something." So Swimmy is saying, "Oh my gosh, I found some friends. Let's go play and see this beautiful world I've been discovering." And the little fish are like, "No way. The world's too scary. There's big tuna fish out there. Don't you know we could all get eaten?" So now Swimmy is going to try to problem solve that, right? Swimmy's like, "All right, that's true. I know that to be true. I know the world can be scary and dark, but I also know the world can be beautiful and magnificent. So how can we access the world while still staying safe?" So Swimmy's thinking, and I think the little red fish are thinking too. Swimmy thought and thought and thought. Then suddenly, Swimmy said, "I have it! We are going to swim all together like the biggest fish in the sea." He taught them to swim close together, each in their own place. So you see how they're beginning to figure out how to swim all together so that they're creating the illusion of a big fish. All of these small fish coming together to make something big and wonderful. That's the way movements begin, you guys. It's a lot of people coming together to make big change. When they had learned to swim like one giant fish, he said, "I'll be the eye." And there is Swimmy. You can see that Swimmy is indeed the eye of the big giant tuna fish. So all these fish are the same color, but because Swimmy is a different color, Swimmy can be the eye. Every fish has a place and has a role. So they swam in the cool morning water and in the midday sun and chased the big fish away. So look at that. The big tuna are like, "Oh my gosh, here comes a giant red fish." So they're enjoying the ocean, the cool morning water, the midday sun. They're going back and seeing those pink swaying palm trees, right? Those sea anemones, the eels, and all the beautiful creatures that exist in the ocean. But they're also staying safe while they do it. And that takes hard work and perseverance to come together in solidarity like that, to all come together and work as one. Isn't that amazing? That must have taken a lot of practice. I'm so impressed with all those little fish and with Swimmy for coming up with such a wonderful idea. And how amazing is it that even though Swimmy had this terrible loss in his life, he still decided that life was too good to pass up, right? He could be sad and he could be lonely and things could be dark, and maybe, those dark days will come again. But he also realized that he needed to breathe in the beautiful world around him, to find new friends and new family members, and and to brave the world with them. So, on that note, I was thinking that tonight you could come up with one thing that you can do to help make the world a better place. Because sometimes we feel like we're small and little and we can't really make any change. But what is one way that you can work with your family members or your community members or the people in your class? How can you come together with some people to make positive change in the world? Can you think of one thing that you can do? Okay, my friends, I hope that you'll spend some time thinking about that and remembering that even in our darkest moments, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, readers, be kind to yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.